Hi. Talking about flying in high winds, when I mentioned high winds, it's usually around about 15 to 30 miles an hour. I've gone higher, around about 35. But there's a limit your drone can actually fly in because its top speed is usually allocated to holding position, and because of this, your top speed is the limiting factor of your drone. So if your drone can only go 40 miles an hour, 40-mile winds will be sufficient for it to just hold position. This may be okay for some purposes, but remember, you need to be dodging and maneuvering in the wind, so having wind speed slower than your top speed is basically a priority, so that you can actually return home. And remember this, that the drone is always expelling energy just to hold position, so you have to watch your battery levels. I normally use my batteries to 50%, that way half of it is allocated as an emergency or a means to account for the wind. Your top speed for going forward is slightly different to your top speed from going sideways. Remember that as you are maneuvering in high winds. Height varies with certain situations, but mostly I fly above 120 feet for kite surfers and much lower for windsurfers. I found that when flying at lower altitudes, even in high winds, that my drone can be more maneuverable than flying 120 feet or so. Flying at low altitudes, I usually set my limit of 10 feet or so. From there on, I can check my height telemetry if I'm going too low, and it gives me time to correct it if my altitude is falling. Dangers of collision is basically high traffic areas, especially for kite surfers. If there's more than several of them travelling in unison in the same direction, you best be circling around the outer edges of the group rather than trying to circle in between a group. When it comes to editing, I usually split my video edits to certain sections, whether it's a landscape, getting the angles of the general area, or a lower altitude high action angle. I normally allocate my batches for two of these sections: high action for low altitude shots, or high altitude shots for general landscape angles. When it comes to returning home, I normally fly above the kites or any collision areas. The kites are around about 120 feet or so, so I fly above them and head straight home, making sure my landing area is clear so that I can land straight down from that height. I hope that this video has given you some idea of flying in high winds, and that it's not a thing to be afraid of to fly at winds at 20 miles an hour. Also, visit the Live Drone broadcast channel for more hints and tips, or visit my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/mydogisdead and help to support the page. And I'll see you again.